Tonight, our WTOC Investigates team is digging into what workers and inmates are calling a human rights crisis at the Coastal State Prison. Those concerns echo findings from a federal investigation into Georgia's prison system. Our lead investigator, Shay Schrader, joins us now live in the studio. Shay, what have you found out?
Dawn, the concerns I've heard from inside Coastal State Prison aren't isolated. A 2024 U.S. Department of Justice investigation found Georgia prisons, including Coastal State, are failing to protect inmates from violence, neglect, and unconstitutional conditions. 2 employees and an inmate inside Coastal State tell us those failures are playing out right here in Savannah. They spoke to us on the condition of anonymity, fearing retaliation.
Coastal State Prison, a medium security facility designed to house roughly 1,800 inmates, sits just miles from the Savannah Hilton Head International Airport. It's out of sight for most of the public, but according to prison workers and inmates, what's happening inside mirrors what the U.S. Department of Justice calls a systemic crisis across Georgia's prisons.
There are tons of countries that we call third world countries that put their prisoners in these conditions, and we do call them out for it. But it's happening here, and people don't seem to bat an eye about it.
In this 2024 report, the DOJ concluded the Georgia Department of Corrections violates the 8th Amendment by failing to protect inmates from violence and failing to provide reasonably safe conditions. These 2 employees of Coastal State Prison, whose identities we're concealing as they fear retaliation, say they see it every day.
You have to do something with people or they're going to, just kind of turn into Lord of the Flies.
These workers describe crumbling infrastructure and unsanitary conditions, black mold throughout housing units, rat and mice infestations, and frequent air conditioning and heating failures. The DOJ report found similar conditions statewide, citing understaffing and poor maintenance. We requested maintenance records from Coastal State Prison from May to November 2025, including records that show money spent on pest control and mold remediation. The Department of Corrections told us they don't have any records related to mold remediation. The records we got back show over $5,000 was spent on pest control over that 6-month period. Employees tell me, however, the most alarming issue at Coastal State is violence, both inmate on inmate and staff on inmate. Georgia Department of Corrections records show no correctional officers were disciplined for violence against inmates over that 6-month period in 2025. But one employee we spoke to says it's a common occurrence.
Most of the staff is fine, but then there are some who are brutal, and they seem to look forward to being able to hurt people.
Have you ever observed, officers brutalizing inmates?
Pretty regularly. When I walked into work the other day, I could hear screams, just like my entire walk to my building. When I got to the building, I realized that was someone that was being beaten, and that's why they were screaming.
And it was by an officer?
It's by an officer.
Both the workers we spoke to and an inmate that we won't be identifying tell WTOC Investigates that violence frequently leads to mass lockdowns, where entire dorms are confined to their cells for days or weeks at a time.
We were waiting anywhere from 7 to 10 days to get a shower.
The DOJ report criticized Georgia for overusing lockdowns and isolation, particularly on victims of sexual violence. At Coastal State, lockdowns also prevent inmates from attending classes or programs needed to earn performance incentive credits, or PIC points.
When they're collectively punished in lockdown in these situations, that affects inmates' abilities to complete the programs that they're supposed to complete for early release and release, correct?
They do things for PIC points so that they can qualify for early parole. And so all of these things that they can do to, better themselves so that when they get out, they have a better chance of employment and a better chance of being able to rebuild their life. When they're in lockdown, they don't have access to it.
Documents obtained by WTOC Investigates show inmates at Coastal State repeatedly missed classes due to lockdowns last year. Food access is another concern.
So if inmates don't cooperate with orders, they will withhold food from them. There have been instances when inmates would be asleep, and the officer would not wake them up for the meal call, and afterwards they just would refuse food to them.
Any appearance of not being on their P's and Q's, then they'll just be told, no, you can't eat. Which is confusing to me because food's not a privilege. I don't understand how you can just not feed people.
It's been pretty poor on the food. A lot of the guys in here have lost a lot of weight.
Both the inmate and workers say these issues only scratch the surface of what's going on in Coastal State Prison, though they recognize getting the public to care is an uphill battle.
They've been sentenced, but their sentence doesn't include abuse and neglect. They're going to be locked away from society for however long, and hopefully the person that's coming back out isn't worse.
We're still human, and we still have families out there. We still have children out there. So we most definitely are asking for help.
We've reached out to the Southern District of Georgia, which contributed to that DOJ report, to find out what measures have been taken after the report. The office declined to comment. However, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution is reporting on Tuesday a federal judge in Georgia's Middle District Court scolded Department of Corrections Commissioner Tyrone Oliver for failure to comply with court orders and asked whether the Department of Corrections deems itself above the law. We also reached out to the Department of Corrections and Coastal State Prison Warden Philip Glenn about all the issues mentioned in this story and never received a response. You can see the full DOJ report on WTOC.com. Shay Schrader, WTOC Investigates.